the angle would be, of course, the ellipse, like, it's looking at it vertically from here, but it's weird because, like, I look at that and my brain still thinks, like, oh yeah, that's it's a tube. It looks like a tube. It looks fine. Because my brain wants to follow, like, this line here being, like, the closer edge of the cylinder, with this being the far one, and it doesn't look that unnatural to me. I don't know.
Open up as they get further to either side of the viewer, because the actual angle between the viewer is opening up between the viewer and the circle itself. The last thing I want to introduce you to is a piece of the anatomy of an ellipse. It's called the minor axis. The minor axis is the line that cuts across the ellipse's narrowest point. So if we were to look at the different spans across which you could measure this ellipse, if we were still to pass through the center, then the narrowest point would be maybe about here. My pen is dying on me. So the minor axis is the line that cuts across that narrowest point, cutting it into two equal symmetrical halves. So the idea is that if I were to take this and fold it over, it would line up perfectly, and you just end up with this. Ellipses also have a major axis that runs across the widest point, but ironically, it's the minor axis which is the most useful to us. Just as an ellipse represents a circle in 3D space, the minor axis also bears an important relationship to something in 3 dimensions. If I were to take a toothpick and pass it through the center of my disk, you'll find that the toothpick is sitting about perpendicularly to the face of the disk itself. In physics, this is called a normal vector. But for those of you unfamiliar with that term, you can just think of it as the line in 3D space that is pointing...
Sorry, I want to go back here a little bit. I was distracted. So yeah, you can fold it in half.
If I were to take a toothpick and pass it through the center of my disk, you'll find that the toothpick is sitting about perpendicularly to the face of the disk itself.
Yeah.
In physics, this is called a normal vector. But for those of you unfamiliar with that term, you can just think of it as the line in 3D space that is pointing straight out from the circle's surface, not slanting one way or another. The minor axis of our two-dimensional ellipse that we drew on our flat page represents the normal vector in 3D space, just as the 2D ellipse represents the 3D circle. So if I were to put down another ellipse, that was poorly done.
It's nice that even he messes up sometimes.
If you were to picture this ellipse as being in 3D space, being an actual circle, then this line here would be the one coming off its surface, just as this toothpick does. This may seem kind of arbitrary right now, but it's actually extremely useful because it allows us to align our ellipses relative to something that exists in the 3D world. If we know what direction the normal vector should be pointing, then we can draw it on the page and use it as the actual minor axis of our ellipse. So for example, if I draw that line first, then I can draw an ellipse that tries to align to this line.
By having it be like equidistant on both sides.
With a minor axis on the page, it is just a matter of drawing the ellipse so that it is cut into two equal symmetrical halves down its narrowest dimension by this line. And that's precisely what I did with the cylinder. You can see that I've got this straight line going straight down the middle. I've aligned all of these ellipses to it so that I can know that they're all going to be parallel to one another in the world. Because if you were to have a cylinder, I have another poorly cut out disc.
I love the props.
If you've got a cylinder, which is basically just two circles connected by a tube, you want to make sure those circles are parallel to one another and not, awkwardly angled, because then they'd look skewed.
Or like
so you want to make sure that they are parallel. It's like this toothpick in the minor axis forms the actual spine of the cylinder. And if the form as a whole rotates with that minor axis and that normal vector, then both ellipses will turn accordingly. Now, I fully expect that what I just explained is going to cause more than a few headaches, because this is the first point in the course where you're breaking down the barrier between two-dimensional space and three-dimensional space.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't expect you to understand this immediately, but by laying down the theory behind these concepts, we're starting to plant seeds in your brain. The next step, once you've read through the written content for this section, is to water those seeds by working through the assigned homework exercises. Speaking of which, when you do those exercises and draw your own ellipses, there's two things I want you to remember to do. The first is to simply draw your ellipses from your shoulder. You can't see my whole shoulder right now, but I've got a whole video about it, how you can use your whole arm to draw, but I want you to make sure that you're not drawing them from your wrist, because these ellipses require the kind of smooth, fluid, even shapes that we can get from using our whole arm, not the kind of stiff precision that we can get from using our wrist. So if you were to draw it using your wrist, you'd have a very limited range of motion, and your ellipse will probably come out pretty uneven. If you draw it with your shoulder, you can draw bigger ellipses, smaller ellipses, it doesn't matter. It will come out more smoothly. Even the small ones can be drawn from your shoulder. The other point is that I want you to use the ghosting method for these ellipses, and frankly, for every mark where you're better off using your whole arm, use the ghosting method too. It'll help you to get into the habit of thinking before you draw and weighing how each and every mark contributes to a given drawing, so you don't have to put marks down wastefully. Of course, it'll also help you increase your overall control while allowing you to execute your marks confidently. To that point, remember that executing your marks confidently doesn't mean as fast as you can. It just means that you're drawing with the sense that...
That right there, that's something I have an issue with the ghosted ones especially. I noticed with the ghosted planes, I'd focus super hard on the ghosting part of it. But by wanting to do as many reps of it to make sure I'm getting the muscle memory down, the ghosting motion ended up being super quick. Which meant that when I went to do the actual line, I was doing it way too quick, and sometimes I would not even be on either the starting or the ending line.
You're always pushing yourself forward, not hesitating or trying to steer things with your eyes. As you can see here, I'm applying the ghosting method, but my execution isn't going nearly as fast as I could go. I'm just keeping an even pace. I'm always moving forwards. And there you go. It's still pretty smooth. It gets a tiny bit hesitant, so you will have to weigh, am I slowing down so much that I can't be confident at this pace? You will have points where you will inevitably start to wobble, and so as soon as you catch that, speed up a little bit more, but keep focusing on the fact that it's not just about speed, it's about being confident. So I can ostensibly draw a line that just continually moves forwards without very much wobbling, even though it's at a slow pace. Of course, had I sped that up a little bit, because that was a little below my threshold, it would have been smoother.
Yeah, you can see the little wobble at the end there.
So that about wraps it up for ellipses. Again, make sure that you read through the text as well. It goes over the same concepts I've explained here, but going through them in different forms and formats will help you wrap your head around them more easily. And of course, going back over videos, going back over the notes and whatever, even if you've watched and read them already, is always a good thing. It will help keep the information fresh in your mind, especially as you go through these exercises, which may take several days, depending on how much time you have anyway.
time and stamina. I have the time, but physically I really don't like doing more than like a page a day, especially trying to keep the 50% rule in mind of 50% of your time should be fun drawing. All right. So I actually, it's kind of funny just talking about those ellipses. Made me realize, let me swap back to the hand cam real quick. Kind of showing what he had there. I have a 50 yen piece. I live in Japan, so this is basically our 50-cent piece. Has a very convenient hole in the middle, so I can just take a ink stick and you can get like a good view for, even though it's just a circle from above. Looks like a flat line, but the further the angle gets, it's still perfectly vertical, but you see more and more of the face. Like you can see pretty much the entire face when I go to the far edges of my camera angle here. It's interesting to think about. All right, let's do the reading. Oh, and of course all my recommended videos come up. Ignore the shame of the like billion, what was that, all those HoloLive? Yeah, HoloLive and drawing things, and lo-fi hip-hop. This sums up my current YouTube history pretty accurately. Random tutorials, drawing, and HoloLive. Whoops. Alright. Back to the reading. Streaming on Japan time. Yep. That's what it be. Japan time. I mean, I live in Japan, so that's all I got, but technically I'm usually at work right now, but meh. Alright, 2D versus 3D. So, before we get into the complicated stuff, remember, drawing is talking about taking things that are three-dimensional, like me, and capturing it on a two-dimensional surface. Be it a piece of paper, canvas, or my friend's back, who is stupid enough to have 16-year-old me design a tattoo for him that is basically stuck on his body forever. I'm pretty sure my sister asked me to design her a tattoo once, and I was probably around 16. Pretty sure I didn't come up with anything good. I wasn't much of a drawer at that point either. Anyway, I really like this graphic. This graphic really helps envision the like angles a little better than the cardboard wheels did, I think. For our purposes here in this course, we're going to be using ellipses in 2D space to represent circles that exist in 3D space. Thank you, Purple Bones. I'll have a lovely stream. And you have a good sleep. Send pics when I'm done. It's just gonna be like homework and lines and stuff, but yeah, I will. For our purposes here in the course, ellipses in 2D space represent 3D space. Depending on whether you look at it as being two-dimensional or three-dimensional, this animated diagram depicts one of two things. In the 2D space, it's a series of ellipses from the widest to the narrowest. It's kind of hard to mentally think of that. Oh, okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. So, like, looking at this graphic and, like, mentally telling yourself, no, this isn't something spinning. This is just a 2D ellipse that's, like, changing size. It's an interesting way to think about it, because when I first looked at it, since, you know, from playing with my coin and spinning it in the last video, I instantly went to 3D space, but that's fun. So you got your degrees. How our circle in 3D space is rotated relative to the viewer will determine just how wide our ellipse is going to be drawn. This width, always measured across the narrowest span that passes through the center, is the degree, because it's tied to the angle of rotation in degrees of the circle itself relative to the viewer. Yeah, so 90, 45, 30, 15, 0. Okay. When the circle in 3D space is facing the viewer, it's going to be at its widest 90 degrees. This is the same as drawing a circle on a page. As the 3D circle turns away from the viewer, the ellipse representing it will get narrower until it finally reaches a degree of 0 when it's facing away. Degree shift. Keep in mind that since this is based on the angle between the direction the circle is facing and the direction the viewer is facing, the degree will actually change just by moving the circle around in space without necessarily having to rotate it. This diagram demonstrates how the further to the right a circle moves relative to the viewer, the more of its face becomes visible, or the more its face, becomes visible, resulting in a wider ellipse representing it on the page, even without the circle rotating in space. Throughout this course, we'll refer to this concept as the degree shift. Basically, the idea that the degree of our ellipse will shift wider or narrower depending on how it moves in space. So, like the viewing angle will change how your ellipse goes. Okay. Minor axis. We call the line that passes through the ellipse's narrowest span and through its center the minor axis. The minor axis will cut the ellipse into 2 equal symmetrical halves. So if it were to be cut out of the page and folded in half across this line, it would match up perfectly. There's the major axis, which is perpendicular, but the minor axis is the useful component. Normal vector. Just as a 2D ellipse represents a 3D circle, the minor axis is extremely useful to us because of how the minor axis coincides with and aligns with the normal vector, the 3D line that shoots straight off the surface of the 3D circle, completely perpendicular to that surface. This means that we've got 2 ways of establishing the orientation of our circle in 3D space, as well as on our 2D page. The degree of the ellipse controlling the circle's rotation. Okay, yeah. And the minor axis of the ellipse controlling the orientation of the circle's normal vector, basically where it's facing. So you got like width and then where this is determining what it's doing. If we need our circle to be orientated in a specific way in the more complicated sense, we will actually be able to start off with the line, then use it as the minor axis of our ellipse, drawing the ellipse around it so the line splits it into 2 equal symmetrical halves down its narrowest span. That's interesting. So basically, using the vector line that goes right in the middle of your circle to work backwards, so you can like plot out where it needs to go ahead of time. That makes sense. Makes sense on paper. Haha. Puns. The degree width. So that's this. The degree. Okay. Cylinders. Taking it further, the minor axis normal vector is also extremely useful when we get into the cylinder forms. Here it serves as the spine to our form. Like right down the middle. The ends of the cylinder share the same normal vector and minor axis in 3D and 2D respectively. But more than just the ends, if you sample any cross-sectional slice along the length of the cylinder, it also aligns to the same minor axis normal vector. So right down the middle for both of them. Fortunately for you, we don't need to worry about this right now. They won't come into play until lesson 2. Yes. It's just useful to see how valuable the minor axis of the ellipse of an ellipse can be, specifically as we try to figure out all the ways in which we can represent different properties of a circle in 3D space. Cool. Oh, I wasn't expecting the section to be literally just a single page. Oh. Oh yeah, okay, so this is all just one page with the different areas of it. I don't know why I was expecting more. Probably because I've seen some of the homework and like the feedback channels on the Discord, and it seems pretty involved. Alright, 2 pages of tables of ellipses, 2 pages of ellipses and planes, where I'm pretty sure for this one you just use the, like your ghosted planes from previously. And the funnels exercise. That sounds fun. All right, let's read through these. Tables of ellipses. The first exercise is relatively straightforward and involves drawing lots of ellipses. Ellipsi? Ellipses? Ellipses? Ellipsi? Ellipses. These are not, however, simply free ellipses with no real goals. Instead, it is pinned on the idea of setting out criteria and targets for the ellipses we intend to draw before drawing them. So, like ghosting. Therefore, when you draw your ellipse, it is either correct or it isn't. Oh, no pressure. I can see where some people get hung up wanting them to be perfect, given that this is one of the few things, or I think probably the first time where the homework's actually just been like, that can be wrong. Let's watch the video first.
The tables of ellipses exercise is one that is going to help you get used to drawing ellipses. That is, doing so confidently to maintain a smooth, even shape, drawing them with different degrees, and developing overall accuracy and control. To start, we want to build a table. Grab a ruler or any kind of reliable straight edge and draw a border around the page as I'm doing here. Often students look to these first steps as busy work, and some of them have tried creating printable templates that they can whip off quickly, allowing them to jump straight into the ellipses themselves. Personally, I think there's some value in going through the setup process each time, and by using these templates, you miss the opportunity to calm your brain down and put yourself in the proper headspace for executing this exercise to the best of your ability. By having to take your time and position the ruler for each and every stroke, you're putting yourself in a slightly meditative state and pushing away every other concern. It really is a simple task. Take a ruler, draw a line. We know that if we rush this step, it'll come out sloppy. But if we take our time, the ruler guarantees everything will come out cleanly. It's that mindset and principle that will serve us well through the rest of this exercise and the course as a whole.
Such a romantic way to think about rulers. I mean, it is true, though. It is nice and stress-free to just be like, yeah, just going to take my time and make these perfect, nice little lines.
Take your time, be patient, and be mindful of every action you take. Once the border is drawn, draw some lines across the width of the page, that is, the narrower span. You don't need to space these out evenly. In fact, try and put more space between some and less space between others. Variation will be useful for what we do later. Lastly, draw a single line down the center along the length of the page, splitting the table in two.
Oh, I think I see where this is going.
The exercise itself is pretty straightforward. In each rectangular space of the table, draw the same kind of ellipse, starting from one side and working towards the other. As we draw these ellipses, we will have certain boundaries to work with, like the top and bottom edges, and sometimes the left or right edge, or the ellipse we drew previously. Try to keep your ellipse as tight and as snug against those boundaries as possible, aiming not to overshoot or undershoot and have them just touching. This is a lot harder than it seems, so you will make mistakes, as you can see me doing here. It's fine to make mistakes, but what matters is that you should be focusing on this as your goal and intent, rather than drawing ellipses randomly in the given space. Also, as you can see, I am drawing around each elliptical shape 2 full times before I lift my pen. This is something I want you to do for every single ellipse you draw throughout this course, and I'll explain why in a bit. And of course, make sure you're executing each and every ellipse, even the smaller ones, from your shoulder while using the ghosting method to help you maintain a confident stroke free from hesitation.
Yeah, I can see this one taking a while. Especially if you're trying to like consistently get the same style of ellipse on each box.
As you get comfortable with this exercise, there's another variation you can try. Here I'm drawing a simple wavy line through the middle of one of the rectangular spaces. It breaks the space into uneven sections. Just like before, try to draw ellipses within these spaces. We still have boundaries to work with, but they're no longer straight and clean. In this variant, you don't necessarily have to draw the same kind of ellipse each time, just focus on keeping them snug and tight against one another. You can also do this with a straight diagonal line instead of a wavy one.
I wonder around like what type of ratio you're supposed to do that. Because I think, I don't know, I feel like trying to do the consistent ones over and over again seems really useful.
As a whole, the focus of this exercise is to give yourself lots of different kinds of spaces in which to practice drawing your ellipses confidently and accurately. Once you're finished with the last rectangular space, you can find the little remaining gaps and holes and fill them in with a few more ellipses before calling the page done.
Oh, okay, so we're supposed to just like fill in that blank side space. Okay. Whew, those are some tiny ones to be doing from your shoulder.
Here's what it should look like when you're done. In the next video, we're going to take a look at some of the things that you should definitely keep in mind while doing this exercise.
Oh, okay, so that breaks that down to a separate video. So you take your paper and divide it into a bunch of tables with 2 columns and a bunch of rows of various sizes. Each section will contain a different variation. You can experiment with a few different approaches, but here's a few you can try out first. For the first one, you draw a circle starting from the far left of the box, and draw another beside it. Keep repeating until the box is full. Strive to make your circles touch the top and bottom of the box, as well as the line to the left of it, so either the ellipse or the other one. Yeah, I can imagine just like, feel like you would have to like basically lock your entire like arm joints and then just like have your shoulder and just kind of like robot it a little bit. Draw a circle from far left and draw another beside it. Keep repeating until you fill the whole box. Strive to make your circles touch the top, bottom, and the line to the left. Next, okay, so start with a circle and then you do the same thing but with ellipses. Within the same section, you should aim to draw ellipses of the same degree. Yes, you want to try to do like consistent ones for this first pattern. Okay. You can also play with the angle of the ellipse, and this should be consistent within the same section. So if these are all angled to the right, these are all vertical, angle to the right, angle to the left, whatever. This one's a bit different. Draw a wave through the section, dividing it into regular pockets of space. Then fill it with circles or ellipses, trying to keep them touching the bounds of the section as well as the curve. Everything should fit in there snugly and nothing should be floating around. Okay. The purpose of this exercise. This exercise is meant to get you used to drawing ellipses of various sizes, orientations, and degrees. It also sets out a clear space each ellipse is meant to occupy, giving us a means to assess whether or not an ellipse was successful or if there were visible mistakes, where it went outside of its allotted space or ended up falling short. Yeah, it's going to be a big one, I think, falling short. Practicing against set criteria with the way to judge success-failure is an important element of learning. There is nothing wrong with failure. Yay! It's an opportunity to learn. Even better. Having a clearly defined task allows us to analyze those failures and make the most of them. Things to remember. Alright. Let's watch this one too.
As you work through this exercise, there are two main things that I want you to keep in mind. First of all, confidence. Comes back to the basic principles of mark making. I want you to make sure that you are prioritizing the confidence of your execution first and foremost over anything else. That means using the ghosting method, drawing from your shoulder, and making sure that you are always using your arm to get the best flow possible. One thing I want you to do that will help you achieve that is to always draw through your ellipse. That means drawing around the elliptical shape 2 full times before lifting your pen. Just like that. This will both give your arm more opportunities to go through that elliptical motion to get better training in terms of the muscle memory development, and it will also help you execute better ellipses on the spot, because where the first pass of the ellipse will kind of inform you more in a more tactile manner of the specific, the textural quality of the paper and how your pen is gliding. And the second pass will correct any little mistakes that you may have made along the way. But while this does itself make it easier to execute those ellipses less hesitantly, to be more confident, you still have to be conscious about executing those marks with confidence, using the ghosting method, drawing from your shoulder, and so on. Otherwise, you can still end up drawing hesitantly, even as you go around multiple times, and you'll end up with a wobbly, uneven shape. So always go confidently 2 times around the ellipse. And this is something I want you to do for every single ellipse you draw in this course. I'm not concerned with how you draw outside of the course, but from here to the end of lesson 7, every ellipse you freehand will be drawn in this manner.
Sounds good.
Next, let's look at accuracy, because once you've got that confidence under control and you are executing every mark smoothly and focusing on flow, then without losing that confidence, we start thinking about accuracy. And in this exercise, we have certain limitations to where we want to place our ellipses.
I feel like that, yeah, that's definitely kind of a big, slightly difficult jump to make, Going from being like, all right, not thinking about accuracy at all, doing these confidently, and then going into like trying to balance it so it's like you want to be accurate but not jumping immediately to like it needs to be perfect, and then having that perfectionism just like shatter that confidence, so you just like end up a wobbly mess like this sad egg up here.
We always focus on what is the goal, what is my intent. We're not just drawing a bunch of random ellipses hoping for the best. We have to first start with the preparation phase of the ghosting method, which means knowing where we want our mark to go. Here we've got a top edge and a bottom edge, and we want to make sure that the ellipse fits in that space. You may not pull this off perfectly, you probably will mess it up plenty of times, but the first step is to know exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve. So we use our ghosting method. We know that we want to fit between these spaces. And then we execute. So here there's a little bit of a gap. I didn't do it perfectly. But what's important is that I know I missed the mark because I was intending to do something differently from what came out. Had I just been drawing random ellipses, there's no way of knowing what I was actually intending to achieve. But because we have initially identified specifically where I want my ellipse to fall, we can see I made a mistake here. I underestimated how far that ellipse had to go, and I was able to learn from that process. Now, as you continue drawing your ellipses, I'm going to want to keep each ellipse so that they're touching, not overlapping, not some random distance from one another, but touching gently. So again, I repeated the same mistake. I got them pretty close. There's a little bit of a gap here. Let's see, maybe rotating the page will make it a little bit easier for me to engage my whole arm and execute that mark more as I intend to. Here I'm touching it better here, but I ended up with a gap up here and an overlap in this section. But again, these give me concrete things that I can identify and improve upon. So this is what I want you to focus on. Confidence first. Always make sure that you're executing from the arm using the ghosting method and drawing through those ellipses 2 full times, no more than that and no less. So you don't want to end up with a big hairy ellipse where you don't even know what you were aiming for. You want it to be twice.
Oh, I just
and as you
realized
practice,
that, oops.
your execution of those ellipses will get tighter, and it will.
Sorry, I just realized that having that full screen cuts off the top, like, little chunk of it.
Will be more intentional. But for now, just keep that in mind. Always be aware of what you're aiming to achieve and work towards it. This exercise is going to be present in your warm-ups for quite a while to come, so don't get caught up in everything being perfect. The point is not to grind. The point is to make sure that students, in the completion of these exercises, understand what they should be aiming for. That's all.
Okay. So don't grind, don't look for perfection, but know what you're aiming for. It's a good way to say that. I like that philosophy of it. I really do enjoy the like not grinding bit of it, because I feel like that's definitely something I would end up doing if it wasn't explicitly stated to not. I mean, I think people do anyway. I've seen people getting chewed out on Discord for doing the same exercise like a billion times instead of moving on, but draw confidently through the ghosting method and draw through your ellipses 2 full times before lifting your pen to achieve a smooth, even shape. Always set out a goal for the ellipse you're about to draw. This is generally what the planning phase of the ghosting method is for. You know what? Part of my brain was just like, planning phase, just a little bit there, so that's as good an excuse as any to go back to ghosted lines and reread the planning phase. Step 1. Planning. The first step when making a mark is not to jump in and put ink on the page. Beginners will often do this. Instead, we ask ourselves, what kind of mark do we want to make? If it's a stroke that's meant to start and end at particular locations, identify them. Even go as far as to mark down little points. Identify the path you want the mark to follow, and think about the task the mark is meant to accomplish. Ask yourself that what this mark is meant to contribute to your drawing, whether another mark might already be doing that job, and ultimately what you can do to make the mark to the best of your ability. We are not sketching, we are drawing purposefully and building things up one step at a time. And rotate the page. Rotating the page is good. Okay, back to the current one. Check out the video or the points listed below. Drawing without a concrete goal. So, this just circles and circles. Floating each other. This is my opinion, of course, but I don't think they're terribly useful since they don't give a concrete target to aim for. Yeah, I mean, it is tricky, but I'm working on position, angle, degree, and size. Okay. Mistake, not drawing enough. What you're probably drawing now. Uneven, bumpy, open shapes, wobbling, lacking confidence. Oh, okay. You should be drawing through every single ellipse, so doing the 2 or 3 times. 2 is ideal, 3 is acceptable. When you try to hit your ellipse in a single round, it's usually going to come out uneven and wobbly. Yep, due to being slow and careful, or extremely loose from just going like, whew! Drawing through the ellipses, give your arm the chance to familiarize itself with what's being asked of in the first place, and then firm it up in the second. Draw through 2 or 3 times, no more no less, helps you draw quicker with greater confidence, leading to a more even shape. And then this is the long goal. Tighten them up, bring them nice and close. And eventually being able to actually draw ellipses. Well, single ellipses, I guess. Gotta read this again, this is important. Drawing through the ellipses gives your arm the chance to familiarize itself with what's being asked of it in the first pass and then firm it up in the second. Along with giving you an extra chance to build up the muscle memory, it also helps you maintain the confidence needed to achieve a smooth, even shape without losing control. As you get better, your ellipses will tighten up. The gaps between your successive passes will shrink, and eventually your ellipses will appear much cleaner. At this point, you could probably do them in one pass, but still draw through them for all of DrawBox. Outside, do what you want. Well, that's roughly what it should look like. That's the finish mark. Okay. You know, there's nothing saying I have to do an entire page in one sitting. I don't think I'm gonna. Sincerely doubt I'll be able to get through a whole page of this, but I think I'll at least get the diagram and maybe like the first couple of rows done today on this stream. My stream went down for a second there, so I've been up for what, like 50 minutes right now. But yeah, let me border it up and at least get this layout done. I'm gonna be right back though. I'm gonna grab a little bit of water. I'm out of Monster. So I'm gonna grab some actual hydration and a new piece of paper. And we can start laying this out. Oh, I'll put the music back on too while I'm AFK. Okay. We're back. Turn that back up a little bit. Turn my speakers down. Okay. Got my paper. Got an okay angle on my hand camera here. It's good enough. Move my mouse out the way. Keep my water on the other side so I'm not accidentally hitting it. Let's draw a border. I think I kind of want to go for like a... I don't know, like centimeter and a half. Seems like a good border size. Yeah, it looks alright. Just do another one there. Line those all up. Oh, actually, I should probably do like yeah, exit that a little too far in. I'll do it from the centimeter and a half line in. No, it's not a big deal. Actually, it doesn't need to be perfectly square. I can do that on the second one. I don't mind too much if I have little corner overlaps for my mark lines there. But I will do the bottom ones, right? Try to anyway. So centimeter and a half in is here. And then I want a centimeter and a half up. If I can get this shit to fit. Shit's too long. Alright, so like right around there. And then if I can just keep this straight here, that should be good enough. Probably don't really need to be like perfectionist on this aspect of it, but gotta make my homework handy. This is a Kutsua, just a generic one I picked up at the what did I pick it up at? The stationery store. It's like a school supply one, I guess, is what I would say. Sort of thing you would get if you were a school student, or maybe like a college or a high school student in Japan. I do like the marks on it. It's quite handy. Part of me is kind of wishing I had a slightly less dark backing drawing surface, though. It's kind of hard to see the lines when I'm not exactly on the paper, but I guess that really doesn't matter all that much. Okay. So now we want to get a nice line between these two dots. Hold that down. Nice, smooth, little confident line in there. A little dark, but whatever. And then this shouldn't go all the way there because it's right, because these lines are wrong. Yeah, the stationery out here is great, actually. Honestly, one of the things I'm definitely planning on bringing home is just a bunch of like normal writing pens, not even like fine liners. Just normal pens for writing because I like them so much. They have such good flow. Use them all the time. I like the, what is it, Zebra brand. I use the Sarasa Zebras a lot. G-Pens are great too, though. I've been using the G-Pen brush in Clip Studio, actually. I was doodling with that a bit yesterday and was enjoying it quite a bit. It's quite a nice brush. Trying to line up my straight edge with my camera like directly in my field of view isn't the easiest thing in the world. I mean, honestly, I could probably just look at the camera and have a better idea of where I'm going, but meh. Good enough. Can just be like, you expect me to draw straight lines for my homework? I can't even draw straight lines with a fucking ruler. Alright. So that's our border. That's a nice looking border. Barring these little weird corner things, but whatever. Alright, and then what is the next bit? Alright, the columns with a bunch of rows. That's pretty easy. For the first few I can just use. I kind of like the height of this ruler anyway, so I can just use that. Just pop her right down there, squared up on that corner, and let it rip. Might be a little tilted, but I think it's okay. These lines should be straight though, so straight enough. Really doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, they look a little bit tilted, but nothing too bad. Oh, right, and I can use the ruler to make bigger straight ones too. Let's do a chunky one in the middle here. So line that up there. Looks about right. That's fine. That's a big one though. Those are gonna be some big honking ellipses. But 1, 2. I might even split that one into 2 other ones. Do like a tinier one at the bottom. I think I laid that one down a little too big. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. What do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like 6-ish? And probably just roughly bisect this one. Call it good. Okay. Then we need to measure our box, which is 18.123. Say 18.2, so I can just do 9.1 for my midline here. And kind of want a lower desk. Ugh. 9.1-ish there. And right down the middle. Oh, my pixel art? I use, what is it called? Ace Bright, I want to say. Let me type it out for you. Ace Bright, I believe is what it's called. Let me check real quick. Oh, a separate. Had that in the wrong order. A separate. That's why I use a separate. I think I paid like $20 for it on Steam or something, but it's actually, if you're programming savvy, you can compile it yourself because it's open source. So you can just go on GitHub. And I was thinking of doing it, like I do a little bit of programming kind of stuff, but the compiling process was a pain in the ass and involved downloading a lot of software that I didn't really feel like doing it, so I ended up just buying it instead. Which was a good decision, I think. Alright, so here's our layout. Can't really see the top if I'm like this, but that isn't really the end of the world. I can just tilt my camera up. I upgraded the hand camera system. It's so much better now. I have a car clip for my old phone now. Because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I literally have like a phone mount for my current phone in my car. I'll just go buy another one. They're like $5 and put it up there. Yeah, it's really nice. It has animation support too. Kind of intuitive. Some of the custom brush making tools are a little limited, but I generally recommend it. Okay, we're in the zone. Let's draw some circles. This one's kind of big, but okay. I was kind of going for that smaller one in the middle, but that one was consistent, but spacing was a bit off. That's what I'll say. I almost wonder if I should have made these a little smaller. But yesterday, hand cam was really a mess. Yeah, I know. I mean, the camera is still the same. It's like the autofocusing issue is still there, but the instead of using hair ties, now I'm actually properly clipped in, which is nice. Oh, I didn't make it all the way around the second time. Picked my pen up too early. Still trying to get this narrow one. So we want to be touching all the right sides. I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow. I think too fast still on that one. But kind of want to angle it a little bit and see. Phantom lined it again. Top, down the side. Yeah, that one was pretty wobbly. I can get one more in there, I think. The camera's getting in the way a little bit, but it's not a big deal. Kind of want to pull it closer to me. I feel like I need to build up arm strength, as weird as that sounds. Because I'm trying to use my whole shoulder and everything, but like resting my hand on the desk is definitely a something I do a bit too often. but let's do another row. Yeah, I can already tell I'm ghosting that way out of whack. Gotta train the hand to be steady. Yeah, it does feel a little bit like workout. Problem with ghosting too is I keep always accidentally putting down these false lines. Kind of wish that was addressed somewhere in the earlier things, like if that's a problem a lot of people have. Like what you're supposed to do about that. Angle was wrong on that one, but I can get one more in here. Oh, yeah, these are tricky. Oh, I just realized I was like not on camera at all. These be a little hard. These be a little hard. Kind of want to try an opposite angle one. Like tilt up this way and do pointing towards the middle. Have a pretty good idea mentally of how I want this one to come out. That was actually pretty close to how I wanted it. Didn't quite get all the way up to the top, but can do that on the next one, or try to on the next one. Yeah, trying to, oh man, trying to hover right. The second one on that actually wasn't too bad. The second go round, the correction went pretty well, I think. On that angle. Trying to be consciously thinking about my marks too now as well. It's a lot to keep track of. Yeah, because I wanted to go. It was messy and had some wobble in it, but honestly, these all are kind of wobbly. Like that one had like no confidence to it. That one wasn't too bad, but the wobble factor is pretty big in these so far. I think I gotta get. I should probably honestly just get used to like hovering more instead of trying to balance off my pinky or whatever. But let's do like some tall boys. Some like tall, narrow ones. Oh, that was good. Need to slow down a little bit. It actually worked out really well when I slowed down. Some wobble there still, but before I get two more in here. Make sure I'm carrying that all the way up to the top and bottom lines. Okay. I don't think I can fit that fourth one in there. I'll just do filler ones on the end there. Should probably be making smaller ones given that I'm only fitting like 3 per line. I'm not doing enough ellipses. I'll try to be a bit denser on the second page, I think. I think the vertical, I probably could have done like 8 or 9 columns instead as well, but let's do some more like really vertical ones. It's hard trying not to like rub my palm on the page. And like holding, I think my grip is a little weird too. I gotta think about that. Getting there. Getting there. That one was a bit chunky, but all the way to the top, the left, the bottom. The left, the top, the bottom. The left, the top, the bottom. Left, top, bottom. Left, top, bottom. Cut the second one in a little too close, but I'm getting some wobble in there too. Might need to pick it up the pace a tiny bit. You can see there some big wobbling on that bottom section of that one. Top, bottom, left. Left, top, bottom. 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 Left, top. Yeah, that instant I put it down right at the beginning right there. Some big shakiness there. But kind of want to do with this narrow section here. You know, I kind of want to like just like take this bottom one. Actually, yeah, take this bottom one, like halve it and get more in here. Kind of want to do some circles on the. I think I'll do circles on this row and then fill in some of this blank space with some extra random circles and whatnot. To fill in. Because I have a lot of blank extra space on some of these. Like these. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the examples. Let's do some circles. left top bottom, left top bottom, left top, left top bottom, 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 left top bottom. Divide it again like in the video. Yeah, I'm probably gonna on the bottom one I'll probably do like the probably going to use these two and do one of them as like the diagonal and then one of them is like the curvy one, just so I can practice those as well. Was planning on doing more of those on the second page once I get like these base ellipses somewhat more confident. I'll just do a tiny one here at the end. It's hard when they say don't grind, but you look at the first ones you're doing, and it's like I've never done this before. I'm still figuring out how drawing from my elbow and not drawing from my elbow, drawing from my shoulder and using the whole arm and like trying to keep everything in mind. I can see why they have to say it so often, because it's so easy. I think it'd be so easy to fall into that trap of getting caught up in like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. Or I guess accepting that you honestly aren't ready, but moving on anyway because it just takes so much time that it's extremely inefficient to just like trap yourself in doing lines or ellipses for months before you move on. Ain't nobody got time for that. Which I'm hoping down the line, hopefully these videos will help somebody come to that conclusion as well. Left top right, left top right bottom, left top right bottom, left top right bottom, left top right bottom, left top right bottom. Yeah, I overshot that one a bit. I might just do the rest of this page, honestly. I'm most of the way done. I'm not feeling particularly exhausted, so do another row of ellipses on down here. I wanted to get some more narrow ones, narrower ones. These ones aren't all that narrow, you know. Get that variety. That one was too fast, I think. That was way too fast. Yep, see lots of people giving up on lesson 1 or in the box challenge. It's just kind of weird in that I feel like lesson 0 really does set it up like pretty clearly that it's tough and you need some sense of you need a decent bit of mental fortitude. Scuffed that one pretty badly, but the second one came out pretty good actually, the correction. Alright, I gotta focus. Bottom, left, top. Left, top, bottom? Yeah. Left, top, bottom. That felt really good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'll fit 5 in there, but that one right there mentally clicked for me how it was supposed to, I think, with the ghosting. Been trying to do that. I'm still, I think I mentioned it last time, trying to find the balance of just like brainlessly ghosting over things and consciously thinking this is how it'll arc here, this is going to go around here, and then trying to get to the point where it's like this is going to go here without like psyching myself out of it, you know. But that one felt really good in that way. That one felt pretty alright too. Angle was a bit off, but I'm okay with that one. I'm happy with that one. I'm not okay with that one. I'm happy with that one. Positive thinking. Gonna need positive thinking to get through all this, so. Let's do, I'm gonna go back to, I want to try some of these with my, those like horizontal turn of the page. Go up here. Overcorrected a little. Actually, overcorrected when the first one was good. You can add more variation with wide degree and narrow ellipse on one box. Wide degree and narrow ellipse. Yeah, I see what you mean. Maybe. Wide degree and narrow. Let me go back to the ellipse page. So like front facing, but narrow. I think I see what you mean. Yeah. I got this one though, so. That one was good on the accuracy vertically. I think drawing left to right gives me more fine-tuned control in that regard. Even with the shoulder engaged. I should be able to fit one more in here. That one felt good too. It was nice and slow. I'm actually pretty happy with that row. I'm pretty happy with these two rows. Ghosting process is kicking in a bit better here, I feel. Even if they don't look that much different. This one right here, just like looking at the webcam, that's a good ellipse. I'm happy with that ellipse right there. It's a nice fucking ellipse. I'm gonna drink some water. Alright, let's do one curve, one at the bottom. Let me look look at the example for that again. Yeah, curving it horizontally, just being like, kind of like that. And then we'll do a straight edge one up here. Very aesthetic. Let me tilt my camera back down. Ooh. Boy's getting hot. It's literally just an old phone, so it gets a little toasty streaming its webcam over my Wi-Fi. So let's do, we'll do these tiny ones first, I think. And have them kind of like rolling down the hill. If that makes sense. Trying not to like keep my, it's hard to see, but trying not to keep my arm like locked in like this. I'm trying to make sure it's like out and coming from my shoulder. If that makes sense. Don't use the ruler for the diagonal. I read that too late, I'm sorry. Yeah, I probably should have done that. Forgive me. I forgive me. I forgive myself. I'm caught myself with my pinky again. On the, I really gotta work on, like, having my pen be the only contact point on my right arm. Kind of want to look into, like, grips. Alright, left, top, bottom. The second pass of that went alright, but the first one got in my head a little bit. Making sure I'm not drawing from just the wrist or elbow. Make sure that it's coming from the shoulder, going back and forth at the very least. Not like, whew, but like... Pretty sure that's what drawing from the shoulder is, right? Because like drawing from the elbow is if it's just like locked. And with that, I'm at least like moving this pivot more. It's alright. They're kind of like following like the angle is interesting here. I see where it's going. I'm okay with that. Left, top, bottom. That was good. Yeah, man, I just need to... I need to fucking slow down. In some ways. Goes a lot better when I slow down a little more. Food for thought. Going slow, but like not thinking about it. Yeah. Or trying not to think about it consciously too much. Kind of want to do like a fat one at this bottom here, like a nice fat circle at the end of here. Instead of going all the way up to the top and doing like a weird like disjointed one. I'd rather have like another tiny circle on the top and just try to hammer in a circle here. Alright. Alright. We'll do a little circle here at the bottom. pinky on the table again. Maybe I should, like, keep these two fingers, like, in more? Like, actually, like, tripod grip a bit better? I don't know. Making sure I'm not holding my pen while shaking my hand this time and throwing ink everywhere. I realized after the fact there's a picture in the Discord, or actually, I think you commented on it in the Discord, but my bed all the way like it's a good 3 feet behind me. I got covered in ink from shaking one of my pens. It was not a great time. Didn't even notice until the next day. Put down a line there a little too early, but the actual ellipses came out alright. Alright, and then I think for the other... kind of want to curve these the other way, like going up the hill. So like... something like this. Yeah, like that. Try not to get in my head too much. Did a little at the beginning, but that's fine. Nothing wrong in that picture. Not a one. Yeah, I gotta... oh, man. Don't want my pinky on the page. I think that's a trap that I'm falling into. Because it also messes with my confidence of being able to draw finally. It's like I need that anchor point or else I won't be able to draw a straight, steady line, but it's like that's literally just holding me back if I'm dragging it and having to put that extra force and mental capacity into it, you know? Just chop off my fucking pinky. But I'm glad I can reasonably and honestly with myself think through that and come to that realization, because that is definitely, I think, part of a problem I would rather address sooner rather than later. Do a tiny circle down here. Alright, a little sloppy on those left-leaning ones, but whatever. Yeah, tucking it. Yeah, I gotta decide what to do with my middle finger, too, like... because my default grip is something like... if I'm just writing, it's like this. But if I, like, forcibly tuck in my pinky like this, I can feel, like, some muscle strain happening in, like, the top of my hand and, like, up through... it's hard to show, like, the side over here. But, yeah, I'll work on tucking it in, I think. Should honestly probably do it similar to, like, practice on gripping it, like, this a bit more, and then also work on using that a similar grip for practicing guitar. I think would help. Might do something like that. Good idea. Let's do some... try again for thin ones up here, I guess. Or yeah, like this grip. I just, like, defaulted to that grip, which I don't know. I don't think that's how you're supposed to draw, but we'll try it. Didn't come out too bad, but I think having the grip strength of the 2 forefingers is more important. For holding steady. Spacing was off on that one, but the consistency was good. That was alright. I got a little wobbly on that, but that was good. That was nice and slow. A little wobble in the top left of the second loop. Yeah, I was planning on doing that with like tiny circles and ellipses after the fact, like the like that space up there and the ones in these top lines as well. Just so I can get practice on those smaller ones as well. But thank you for the reminder. Thank you. And thanks for hanging out. It's so nice having somebody to chat with while I'm doing this. It does wonders to help me talk it out and not get trapped in my head. Or get too into my head and be like, oh, am I doing it right? All that shit. That was actually a pretty good one. Pretty happy with that. I'm gonna do one more vertical-ish one here and then do a tiny one in the circle. I just do a tiny little circle up here. Still from the shoulder though. I cheated. That one was totally from the wrist. Boop boop. X out that one. It was bad. That was from the wrist. Bad Jawa. Then I'm going to do these ones tilted this way. Starting with another tiny one here. Oh, I anchored that one too. It's so hard with these tiny ones to not like instantly just anchor my pinky. That was a good one. Got a little oversized on the second rendition, but I like this angle. That's a tricky angle. I like that. I like that a lot. I like that angle a lot. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy my ramblings. Okay. Tuck the pinky in. Nice big one up here. Yeah, let's go real big. Yeah, I like that. Didn't go all the way up to the top, but I'm happy with that one. That was fun. Tiny ellipses, the nemesis. Yeah, it is. Time to do a bunch of them then. I'm gonna do a tiny narrow one up here, I think. Went over a little bit, but first one was good. All right, let's fill in the rest of this page, shall we? do another tiny narrow one here. I'm practicing those a lot, but I want to have some wobble. Can do tiny dot circle here in the corner. That one wasn't too bad, actually. I'm not too displeased with that one. Let's do some other small ones in these middling spaces. There's something about the small ones that like kind of force you to slow down. It's interesting to think about. Do another long one here to kind of see if I can actually get tip to tip and still have it be an ellipse. Kind of big overlap there, but do the same thing down here, I think. That was actually a really nice one. I'm happy with that one. It's not, I don't know if I'd call it an ellipse, it's almost more of a like banana or bean shape, but I think from that wiggle in that corner up there, kind of unellipsed it a little bit. I didn't even realize I made a little exclamation point at the end of the page. That's cute. I didn't even notice that. I was completely subconscious. I like that. That makes me smile. Like, dun-dun! Alright, let's fill out the rest of this page. I want to keep these all in the same angle, so I'm just going to do a small one here too. A little happy accident, yeah. These are some really tiny spaces. I'm not sure if I should bother trying to put like tiny circles in here, but I might. Yeah, I think I might as well, right? There's not much space left over. I can always use the practice. That one was kind of concentric. That one was way too wobbly. I didn't ghost that one well enough. Let's do not all of these, but maybe like these 4. Left top bottom, left top bottom, left top bottom, left top bottom, left top right, bottom top right. This one's just going to be very, very tiny. That one got away from me a little bit, but we'll do these 2 as well. Very, very fine one here. more. Couple more and page 1 will be good. So I kind of want to do a corner one here. Yeah, like that. Went a little over out of the border, but we'll do the same angle, but smaller below. First one was good, second one got away from me. And we'll do, I think, these two. This up here, and then that first box has lots of space I can fill still. Let's do some sideways long boys in here. Stick with today's theme. Could probably fit ones in these two too. I'll just do circles in there. Yeah, I swapped to wrist halfway through that one. That one was good. Kept my hand down a lot longer. Alright, before this last box, it's time to drink a little water. Shake out the hand. End off strong. Time is it anyway? It's probably like, what, 4? Yeah. Have some lovely seltzer water today. So on a normal day, actually right around now is when I would start streaming, I think. But or maybe not even not right around now. Probably not until an hour from now. Because I think I'd want to do my guitar stuff first and then... Yeah. Something like that. I'll figure it out later. I kind of want to do like 2 like V... like a little V-shaped one in here. It's like 2 long, narrow ones. Like that, and then another one up here. Yeah, actually, it's a lot easier tucking my pinky because then I don't have to account for that like extra power I need to like get past the dragging, like that extra drag. I think that's something I gotta keep in mind. Moving forward, let's just circle this one. I thought too much about that one on that second pass. We'll do another big circle down here. And maybe just like one tiny one in the corner here. Let's see. I think I'll end it up with what, like 1, 2? Do 2 more? I don't think I really want to fit anything in. Maybe down here. Maybe 3 more. Do a little ellipsy one in here. Without dragging. I could fit a tiny one in here. I could fit a tiny one in here, easy. Easy peasy. One more smallish one in here. And a tiny... Let's do this. Let's do it this way. Without dragging. Up there. And then, what, tiny circle here, and I think we're good? Like, there are other ones I could add really tiny circles in, but I don't think that's really worth at this point. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll throw this one in there along with some of my thoughts from the stream, I think. See what folks have to say about, like, the speed thing and some of the mental blocks. And the pinky thing. God. Honestly, I feel like I should, like, tape down my pinky. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call that good. So what is this? Table of Ellipses, part 1. And today is September 6th, right? Alright. Table of... How the fuck do you spell ellipses? Ellipses. Page 1. Table of ellipses, page 1. Alright. We did it. Here is the... Do a nice little slow pan. Start it up top here. Add some roughness up top with the wobbliness. Got more into the vertical ones. They're kind of potato-y. Same with these ones. That last one was kind of squeezed in on that one. That one right there. There's some consistency issues in this middle one. But the angle was alright, I think. And then the bottom ones. Same here. Some big old overlap and messiness in there. Thanks. Thanks. I'm glad you can see the improvement. I'm still working on seeing it. But I did literally just finish it, so I'm sure I'll come back and feel better about it eventually. So I think my... Okay, no, my mic is pointed the right way. But, yeah, I'll take a picture of that now, actually. So I can share it on the Discord and see what people think. Actually, I'm probably going to do that off stream because my phone camera is in the way. Honestly, my phone camera might be a better way to take this picture, come to think of it. I could just email it to myself. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to tilt that so it's like perfectly flat. Some arc superimposed lines. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. That is probably a good idea. Oh, shit. Alright, so the hand camera is going to disappear for a second, but don't freak out. scroll down to camera. Take a picture there. For my warm-up, yeah. It's a good idea, actually. Let me write that down somewhere. Oh, where is the warm-up page I did for today? Fuck. Oh, here it is. Okay. Write that down real quick before I forget. For tomorrow. Warm up with superimposed lines plus arches. Also give me a break from trying to do the ghost things and ravaging my mind with that. Okay. Move this on off to the side. Swap over to my new and improved just chatting layout. Actually, I think I had this last time as well. I think I made it spur of the moment last time, which is why the chat box is still overlaid in the corner over there, but that's fine. Could just make that smaller. Shoop. Problem is with like just viewing this like layout stuff, it's so hard to tell if it's like actually like if that chat box is way too small, like if it's even visible on the Twitch site proper. I guess I can go back and watch VOD and check that out, but like I said, the stream aspect of this is just a massive afterthought for the most part, so I'm not stressing too much about it. But I think that's gonna about do that for me. I've been on for about 2 hours. Wasn't expecting to actually even do homework today. I thought, I don't know why, but just with the complexity of some of the other homework I've seen for this section, I kind of assumed the ellipse explanation would be a bit more long-winded, but it did make sense. It was very informative. So, I'll probably review some of that tomorrow. Try for a second page of this one. Do I plan to complete the lesson? Oh, like the entire thing? Yeah. Genuinely. Like I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. I might not be doing it 7 days a week for the foreseeable future, but probably be doing it at least. I'm aiming to do it at least 5 days a week. So I have a decent amount of time in my evenings, so probably putting in around the same hour, 2 hours in the evening for the foreseeable future. Probably going to try to come up with a more concrete schedule as well. I'll think about it tomorrow, because tomorrow I didn't go to work today, so schedule wasn't quite usual, but I think tomorrow I am back, so I'll actually have a better idea about whenabouts I'll be online during a normal weekday, I guess. So but yeah, I'm planning on doing what I can of it. It's probably going to be like 3 months of me sitting here drawing boxes for the DrawBox thing, but that is what it is. It is called DrawBox, so. I wonder if that phone is actually still connected to my Google Photos account. Check that real quick. Oh, it is. Sweet, I don't even need to upload it from my hand cam phone. So I'm gonna download this and I'll put it on the Discord right now, actually. Probably gonna play with Clip Studio some more tonight too. Actually, I should set up a source for that. Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm gonna sign off for today too. So thanks for dropping by, Green. It's been nice chatting to you. Thanks for the suggestions and advice, and I will see you around on the Discord and hopefully back here at some point. Peace.